episode on the anniversary of Thomas Tuchel being the England manager for the men's national team. It's 1 year on since the main man from Germany took the reins of the England men's national team. And he has one task: to win England a major trophy for the first time since 1966. In this episode, we'll be exploring the journey so far and everything that has happened along the way, as well as what the future looks like. Before we get into this episode, please make sure that you've hit the follow button. If you have already, then a big thumbs up to you, and if you haven't, then please do that right now. Now, I've got one shout out which has come in from a super listener on Patreon, and that shout out is this. It says, "Hi Darren, can you give a shout out to my soccer team, the under-8s Transformers, that has Edward, Max, Jack, Bryce, Rasmus, Asuka, Lorenzo, Jackson, Darcy and me, Austin. And can you also give a shout out to my friends Daniel and Connor?" Well, Austin, a massive shout out to you and to everybody at your football team, to your friends Daniel and Connor, and every single person that you know. Thank you so much for being a listener of the Football for Kids podcast, but more importantly, thank you so much for being a super listener. It is the super listeners on Patreon and on Apple Podcast subscription that keep this show going. And I have a brand new super listener only episode exclusive to you lot on Patreon and on Apple Podcast subscription coming in the next few days on the brand new Manchester United #1 goalkeeper. So, super listeners, keep your eyes and ears at the ready for that one. Here we go then. Thomas Tuchel and his journey as the England manager so far. It was the 16th of October 2024 that Thomas Tuchel became the England manager. He didn't quite make history as a foreign manager, as there were two before him. But let's be honest, it's still quite unusual for England to hand over the keys to someone who doesn't say, "Cheers mate," after training. Before him, in terms of foreign managers, came Fabio Capello from Italy and Sven-Göran Eriksson, la 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 la. Oh, he was from Sweden, if you didn't know. And, of course, now step forward, Thomas Tuchel from Germany. Now, as you probably know, England and Germany have a bit of history. Some football history, some world history, and, well, let's not forget the penalty shootout history either. So when Thomas was handed an 18-month contract to take England all the way through to the FIFA 2026 World Cup, let's just say a few eyebrows shot up. Was this a brave mistake or the start of a "oh no, not again" chapter? Either way, Thomas knew what he'd signed up for: to win the England men's team a trophy. The first one since 1966. That's 59 years. By 2026, it'll be 60 years. 6 whole decades. Or 21,900 days. But who's counting? Me, Darren Rees. I'm counting. I've been waiting forever. I'm only joking, Thomas. No pressure. Thomas officially started work in January 2025 after signing on the dotted line a few months earlier. He even joked to reporters that he was sorry that he came with a German passport, which made everyone laugh. Though deep down they were probably thinking, as long as he brings us the World Cup or at least the Euros, Thomas, you can come with any passport you like. When he got going, Tuchel moved to England full-time and wasted absolutely no time at all. He analysed players, made a giant list of 55 names, looked at data, stats, facts, and probably what they had for breakfast. In fact, he most definitely did, because, well, that's what they do these days. He planned training camps in hot places and places of high altitude because, well, when England do play in North America or in Mexico or wherever it is when the FIFA 2026 World Cup comes round, they need to be well prepared, and Thomas Tuchel isn't messing about when it comes to having a well-prepared team. And his first game as England manager couldn't have gone any better. It was the 21st of March 2025 and England beat Albania 2-0 at Wembley. And if you want to learn all about Wembley Stadium, there's an episode on that, somewhere amongst the 450 episodes. That game kicked off a perfect start to the FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifiers. 5 games, 5 wins, top of their group with maximum points. Even better, England didn't let in a single goal. 13 scored, 0 conceded. It was like the back line had been built out of concrete and some German engineering was well and truly in the background. Not since Fabio Capello's early days had England looked so solid. And no England manager had ever started qualifiers with 5 wins and 5 clean sheets until the man from Germany came along, Thomas Tuchel. The most eye-catching result came in September 2025 when England absolutely walloped Serbia. It was 5-0 away in Belgrade. It was supposed to be their biggest test, but England passed it with flying colours. England fans went wild. The Football Association was singing their praises. They put stuff out on social media saying 5 goals in Serbia to make it 5 wins of 5. The players were smiling, the fans were smiling, and Thomas Tuchel gave the reporters that look. The "I told you so" look. He's got a habit of doing that. Behind the magic has been a rock-solid defence. I mean, Jordan Pickford went over 600 minutes without conceding a single goal, matching the record of the legendary Gordon Banks from the 1960s. Hey, have we got a theme here? Gordon Banks, 1960s. England won the World Cup in the 1960s. England on fire for the 2026 World Cup, which will be 60 years later. Or am I just being overly optimistic? Between November 2024 and September 2025, England kept 7 clean sheets in a row, equal to the national record. Pickford's 7th came in Belgrade, giving him the chance to break the record next time out. But let's face it, Tuchel's England is built on simple but powerful ideas. He is hot on professionalism, control, and most importantly, the thing which I bang on about on this podcast all the time, hard work. Especially when they don't have the ball. It's that same focus that helped him with the Champions League with Chelsea. Under him, England are looking sharper, tidier, and about as easy to score against as a brick wall with football boots on. But not every story is a fairy tale, and if we're going to talk about the good bits, we need to highlight the challenging bits too. In June 2025, England got a proper shock, and it was a proper shock. They were expected to win at Wembley Stadium, and they lost 3-1 at home to Senegal, who are a very good side. It was their first ever defeat to an African nation, and it ended 22 games on an unbeaten run against African teams. And Tuchel had his first taste of defeat as the England manager. Captain Harry Kane was interviewed straight afterwards and he didn't mince his words at all. He simply said 3 words: not good enough. And Tuchel, well, he had a frown on him which would tell you a million things. He most certainly agreed. Thomas Tuchel is not afraid to take risks. In his first game, he gave 18-year-old Myles Lewis-Skelly a chance and his debut, and the youngster scored after just 20 minutes. Since then, Noni Madueke, Mark Gahey and Jed Spence have all made their mark. Spence even became the first Muslim man to play for England. Tuchel trusted his youngsters, but he kept his faith in the old guard too. Kane still leads the line, Kyle Walker still sprinting like he's got rockets in his boots, and everyone seemed to be buying into Tuchel's idea of teamwork. Thomas Tuchel's England these days seem to love the ball. They pass, they move, they wait for the perfect moment. They're like tigers stalking their prey. They're patient, precise, and then they pounce. But he's also told players like Phil Foden to go for it more. Don't worry about the risk. Take it. Let's play some exciting football. In training, Tuchel is famous for his drills, his clever corners and his sneaky free kicks, one of which led to Kane's goal in Serbia. He even brought back his old assistant Anthony Barry from Chelsea to keep things ticking over. And let's face it, Thomas Tuchel is so hands-on on the touchline he probably burns just as many calories as his players. With England sitting pretty at the top of their group, Tuchel's focus is well and truly locked in on the FIFA 2026 World Cup. 3 qualifiers remain as I record this. Latvia away on the 14th of October 2025, Serbia at home on the 13th of November, and then Albania away on the 16th of November. Just a few more points and England are officially in. And I think it's fair to say that Thomas Tuchel is doing a good job of keeping the feet on the ground of the players and the people around him. He says England will arrive at the World Cup next year as underdogs. Because, as he reminds everyone, it's been decades since they last lifted a major trophy, when we're talking about the men's team, of course. And he keeps punching that same message home. They've got to work hard. They've got to take risks. But teamwork always comes first over stardom. If you're not playing well, you ain't going to be in that team. And that is a winner's mentality. The mission is clear. Bring football home for England fans. The FA want a major trophy by 2028, but ideally in 2026. And Tuchel has been hired to deliver. He's studying opponents, planning tactics, and even practicing penalties, which he's rather good at. So here we are. England are calm, confident, and creative, with German precision, England spirit, and a dash of Tuchel's magic. 2026 might just be the year that football finally makes its way home again. Oh my goodness, Darren, you're getting optimistic again. Anyway, that brings this episode to an end. A massive thank you for listening. A huge thank you to everyone who supports the show on Patreon and on Apple Podcast subscription. It is you who is keeping this podcast going. And just remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about the Football for Kids podcast. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitchside, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.
Is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.